what I have to say today is short. There was a reason why I had Jack speak first, because I knew he was going to hit on some very, very important things that are going on right now in public education and across our country. Chicago is pivotal as far as I'm concerned. I think it's ground zero, and I'll talk about it in a moment. I am a father of 3 children, 2 of them attending public schools here in Oakland, have been since the day they were born, and they are getting a great education. They're A+ students. As Jack mentioned earlier, one of the schools that was in my neighborhood that I've been living for 20 years before I even had children was closed last year, along with other elementary schools. What makes an average person, a father of 3 that's working and busy and barely has time to spend time with his own children, do something as drastic as saying, and maybe, in his words, inspiring a community to get together and do something like this around public education? I've had enough, and I think a lot of us in our society today don't realize what is really happening to our public education and the history and all the dots. Jack talked about charters, talked about testing, but I think there's something that we're avoiding and don't really talk about. When the civil rights movement started, they realized that education was pivotal in integrating education. And I don't think people realize, in my opinion, and I've taken a long journey in the last few years really paying attention and getting involved of what really is going on. And we can't avoid talking about it anymore. We can't avoid talking about the money that they're trying to make a commodity around public education and trying to make money from it. It's the next .com as far as Wall Street's concerned. But back to my earlier point, what happened when our schools were integrated? What happened to those schools? What did the state do? We remember that those Arkansas 9, right? Does anybody remember what happened to the schools across the state? What did they do? They closed the public schools because they didn't want the schools integrated. So we have 2 issues going on right now. Maybe they're integrated, maybe they're all the same, maybe they're motivated only by money, because that's what the society we live in today. We live in a society that is motivated by money. But most importantly, where can we address these issues? Where can we fix the problems? Where is the space in our communities that we can fix and address these issues? It's public education. Without it, we're not going to resolve our problems and our issues in our society, in my opinion, as a father. So, yes, last year we decided to take over the school. It wasn't just to protect Lakeview. It wasn't just about the schools. It's what's happening nationally. And as a father sitting down with teachers and community members and city council members and board members, I realized there was something really, really wrong and disgusting going on. And I just can't sit back anymore and let it happen and not do anything. But the thing is if the teacher unions and the labor unions don't join forces and the parents and the community wake up and realize how this is all affecting us, nothing's going to happen. We have to have action. I believe in words, and I also believe in actions. And right now we're at that pivotal moment that without action, nothing is going to happen. Chicago is ground zero, and if we don't support Chicago in whatever way we can to stand up and say we are not going to allow the largest school closures in our country, in our history, to happen, then we've lost. And I think this is the pivotal moment. There's been many, but I think this is it. So there's many things. I don't want to talk for too long. I know that it's a holiday weekend. But there is a national movement growing. I went to D.C., was there in January, met with the Department of Education, met with about 20 other cities. Several hundred people were there for 5 days. We met with Congress. We've met with the Department of Education and the Civil Rights Department. And I learned instantly what I've been talking about right now today, that this story is not specific to Oakland. It is not specific to Chicago. I sat in the room with children, teenagers, parents, teachers from across this country, and the same thing that's happening and has been happening here in Oakland is exactly the same thing that's happening in Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Detroit, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's time for us to get up together as a community and society and stand up and stop holding our kids accountable for the mistakes the adults keep doing. We cannot allow to keep allowing them and saying that our children are failing and that our public schools are failing, not realizing that we're the ones responsible. Kathy will talk about Sacramento, what's happening in Sacramento here in a moment. So I just want to mention a few dates. I think there's been a lot of details discussed. On June 14th, we are having an anniversary, but more importantly, a rally to stand up for public education. It's on the day after the last day of school here in Oakland, and it's going to be right across the street from Lakeview Elementary at 4 p.m., okay? We're not celebrating the closure of Lakeview. We're celebrating everyone that came and supported that action for almost 3 weeks to raise attention and awareness around this. And some of us have said, and I don't share this, but I've been told this, that we delayed the school district from closing 30 more schools, because that's what they said. They said the first 5 schools was just the first 5, and they were going to close 25 more. So whether that was a result or not, the point is the community came together and they did something because they've had enough. And we need to continue the build. And if we don't do that, we're going to lose this in the long run. So I'm asking everyone, the labor unions, I've already spoken to the OEA and a lot of community members and leaders here in Oakland, to come out that day and say, you know, public education is not just a civil right, it's a human right, and we need it in our society. And we need to stand up and support one another to make this happen. The other thing, on August 28th, on the 50-year anniversary, I've been on the phone weekly with a national coalition that went to DC and made that happen. They want to see a national action that day around public education, and we're organizing right now events in each city. I know a lot of people are going to want to go to Chicago, and that probably will be the reality, but we still want to have all the cities across the nation standing together and standing up for public education on that day when Martin Luther King stood on the steps in DC and spoke about that and realized how important a public education system is to this country. So I'm going to leave it on that. There's some other things going on. Steve can probably share with you, and we'll share with you events coming up. But June 14th and August 28th are 2 days that we feel are extremely important here locally on the 14th around public education, and on a national level, August 28th.